What does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? A dangerous amount of coffee and a ton of grit. My name is Jason Tracy, and every week I interview business leaders to share their stories, life lessons, failures, and advice with you. Welcome to Coffee and Grit. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Coffee and Grit, man. I am super excited. It's been a year since I've seen my friend Steve Zyskowski in person. It's always the best time. You know, I spend the year talking about Cirrusnet and specifically the Caerusnet Breakfast and, you know, how it's my favorite event throughout the year. It's like drinking through the water hose of all the best people. Last year, I got to speak on the stage, and I'm telling you what, I had appointments for the next 3 months lined up from being able to go to this event. And so super excited. I get to MC it this year. Steve's back in town from Arizona. This is his third time being on the podcast, but the very first time in the brand new studio. So I'm excited to have my friend in the studio, and we have a nice backdrop on the TV with Steve and the proper spelling of Cirrusnet. So, you know, there's no confusion. It's on the screen. People can see it. There's no and they'll try to pronounce it. Is it Caerusnet or what is that?
Seriousnet, seizure net, but the serious one is the one that I hear all the time. And the funny thing is, you know, I do take my business seriously, right? Like I show up to run these meetings, game on every time. I run 180 1-hour meetings a year for my different teams, 180. And yet every single time that I'm there, I'm bringing my best because I'm doing what I love to do. Love to be with the people, but it is funny when somebody new joins because anytime somebody once you know how to say it and you've been a part of it, and then you hear somebody else kind of struggle through it. It's like, how are you going to refer somebody to this if you can't say the name?
If you can't say the name.
But that's on me. That's not on anybody else. We all pick our own poison. And, you know, when I started this business, I was trying to think of a name for it. And, you know, everything that was going on at the time was like BNI, Business Networking International, LBN, Local Business Network.
All the acronyms.
There was SNG, I think, is still out there in the East Side, Sunrise.
Networking Group. Wayne Curator, I think that guy.
I don't know, but
I shouldn't even give that guy a shout out. I'm sorry.
It's all good. But I thought to myself, I got to have something that sounds different. I don't want to be sounding like everything else, like, you know, SNG, Steve's Networking Group. No, that's not going to do. So I did a little research, and I'm like, well, the goal is to try to help people capture relationship opportunities that can turn into referrals, you know, capture where people can see that, hey, this doesn't have to be something that like, oh, I've got to wait until somebody asks me, do you know of a good networking group that I can join to help grow my business? I mean, that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen for any business most of the time. So people need to learn how to bring things up, right? They got to learn how to create opportunities. They've got to say, hey, you know, what are you doing to grow your business, right? Because asking that question, maybe you learned something that you weren't doing that you're like, really, tell me more about that. But then it also gives you the ability to say, well, hey, you know, I don't know if you ever considered this sort of thing or not, but I personally have gotten a lot of value by being part of this business group, and I know a lot of other people that I admire in town that are also a part of it, that sort of thing. But the name came from doing a little research, you know, and I found out that it was the god of opportunity. The Greek name is actually Kairos. It's with a K. But over time, you know how language gets massaged and that sort of stuff. Cirrus was another way that I found it too. And then I thought, Cirrusnet, you know, like a network of people that are learning how to create opportunities, not just waiting in life, right? You know, and initially, a lot of the times, and I'll have to do this again at one of our business meetings because there's repeating themes. As a facilitator for Cirrusnet, you've done this business long enough with me where you've seen sometimes I've done a toolbox that I've done before, but repetition's the mother of all learning. But there are these themes about the importance of creating opportunities. And one of them is, you know, if you picture a person who is 100% commission, right? You were just talking about somebody that went into 100% commission work right now.
Yep. I'm on
And
100% commission, by the way, as an
yeah,
entrepreneur.
yeah, oh yeah, we are absolutely. It's filet mignon or hot dogs, baby. But I would never have it any other way, and I love both of them. But if I can help people learn how to grease the wheels, learn how to just ask some questions, hear how people respond, and it's okay to plan for how you're going to help people. It's what I like to call honorable manipulation, right? There's mean manipulation, but then there's honorable, where it's like, hey, I was planning on talking about this, right? There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Uh, but if, like 100% commission person, if you were to liken them to somebody sitting underneath a tree waiting for an apple, like they've got their hands in front of them cupped off, and they're waiting for the apple to fall into their hands for them to eat, it's going to be a long time in between meals.
Yep.
And what they're going to see is all these other apples that were falling around them that they missed because they were just waiting for this one to fall perfectly into their hands. So, what if we can extend our reach a little bit, right? What if we can start reaching out and grabbing one of those or a few of those apples that are falling around us, how to start seeing those apples? So, we're not just waiting for the ones that fall perfectly into our hands. And then the next evolution of that is where you're at and where a good number of Cirrusnet people fall into, and that's they shake the tree. You eventually get to that point where you know how to shake the tree,
Yeah.
and you're grabbing left and right, right, and you're also helping other people get some of those apples as well too. You're handing those apples off. So initially we start out feeling limited. What can I do? What can I do? And then we realize all these opportunities that are around us if we're just willing to reach a little bit further, not just sit there with our hands cupped, waiting for the damn apple to fall into our hands.
Well, that's one of the things that I love about Cirrusnet is it's not just join the group and then try to figure out how to make it. There is a lot of education into that and
Yes.
teaching people how to do it the right way.
Yes.
And I've been in part of different groups where there isn't that education and you see people walking around with that me. And what I noticed with Cirrusnet is those people don't last very long. They flush themselves out pretty quickly, which is why the breakfast is so exciting to me, is because it's a collection of all these people that think with that go-giver mindset.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge thing, and because most people are very good at how they refer people to me, I can help somebody figure out during my initial call with that person, if visiting a team makes sense, if they're in the right place to take advantage of something like this, what's their experience being in any sort of a networking or team environment, because it's still easily half of the people out there have never done anything where there's a curriculum and education and role playing and examples. It's the best way for all of us to learn, and most people want to be successful. And if we just did a group where everybody just said, "Hi, I'm Jason. Here's who I help. This is what I do," and that's the end of it just would get old quick.
Absolutely.
But when you can go, oh, so that's how I bring up referrals, or oh, that's how a trust builder meeting should go. So I don't sit there for 3 hours and do nothing but talk about myself or let myself get ran over. There's so many elements of this that can make it successful for you. And just like anything else, education's the differentiator. Education, and then also being in something that has, I think, a good variety of different business types and different length of time experience as well too. Um, you and I are really in a very, very unique position where you're physically here
Yeah.
in Brighton. You're this physical embodiment going around, being seen everywhere, doing the boot camps. You've been able to figure out what are the next progressions in which I can really help my boot camp people, so it doesn't stop with boot camp, so they can keep expanding their reach, so they can
Absolutely.
keep growing. So you're in a very unique circumstance from the standpoint that your entire business is built on people, relationships, and storytelling. It's all those things, and it's also what you get off on. So nobody has to twist your arm to do the type of work that you need to do effectively, you already want to be doing this work.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that can never do what you do.
Absolutely.
In a million years, you are uniquely you and uniquely doing this work based on your own personal journey, the selling at the wireless stores, all these other experiences that you've had. And that gives you such a fresh perspective that most people don't come into business with.
Yep.
We were talking about this before the podcast that, thank God I don't have a widget I'm trying to sell. Thank God you don't have a widget you're trying to sell, because widgets are boring as hell.
Well, and I've talked about this one experience in boot camp today in a young man that's selling insurance, and I look at these industries and I don't get a lot of excitement working with real estate agents, mortgage brokers, insurance people, because they usually enter that industry to make money. Mm-hmm. There's not usually, I love the difference makers to me are the people that they have a personal story that attaches to why they do what they do. I have several personal stories that attach to and encompass to all the reasons why I do what I do. Yep. And, I know your story has led you into that same path, right? And usually people get into the insurance industry, or my brother, for example, got into the insurance agency because I can make a lot of money. And while that's true, and while he's been successful, does he really love it at the end of the day? Is it really him? I see a guy like Jonathan Hayward, like I have no doubt that he really enjoys and loves what he does. He gets off on it, he gets excited.
And he's found his voice in what he does with his clients, and he has a process. He has a way of dialoguing with the client, and there's a level of intelligence, a high level of intelligence behind how Jonathan does the work versus somebody who's like, just send me your declaration pages and I'll give you a quote.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. So I asked this young man today, I'm like, why do you do what you do? Why did you join the insurance agent industry? I'm just curious. And he starts telling me this story about how his dad unexpectedly passed away and they didn't have life insurance, and they had this huge catastrophe as a family. And the way he told it was really emotional. It was a really good story. I've had the guy in boot camp for like 5-6 weeks. I never knew that. I never knew that story. And so I'm like, wow, that really hits me. And he's, in the meantime, told me 20 minutes before that in the conversation that he is struggling selling life insurance. Mm. So we were preparing for Caerusnet Breakfast. We have Christy Reisner in the group, and she's going to be at the breakfast. And so we're preparing for 30-second introductions, right? Cool. Keeping it in 30 seconds, being compelling, right? Nice. And so he was going to sign up. In fact, now I find out there's another ticket. I'll shoot it to him because I'm sure he'll sign up. But we're practicing it because even if you're not at the Caerusnet Breakfast, you got to get this and nail it down, right? And so, what's your story? Well, man, wow. And this is my master. I'm kind of like Jay-Z where it comes to you tell me a story and I can come up with a hook on it, right? And I'm better with yours than I am with mine.
Deliver the rap song.
I can even deliver it. And I'm like, so what you do? And if I was you and I was giving a 30-second introduction about what I do and knowing that about my story with my family and how your dad unexpectedly dying, right? Nobody expects to die. I'd say, I help people overcome the unexpected.
Yeah.
Because nobody expects to wake up tomorrow and die.
Yep. Yeah.
For example, my dad, smart guy, loved us, had, didn't think that he was going to wake up one day and not come home. Yeah. And when he didn't come home, it caused a huge financial problem for the family.
Well,
are you properly insured?
Well, exactly. I'm doing this because I don't want to see this happen to other families. I care about you. I think that you'll sleep better at night knowing that your family is taken care of should something happen to you. I mean, we all have to plan for things we don't want to also see happen to you. You got to plan for the things you want to have happen.
Absolutely.
But you also need to plan for what if things happen that you don't want to have happen.
Yep.
And you helped him find that story, even though it was right there. It's
this is my whole entire point. In I'm sharing it. We won't share his name, but at the end, I'm like, dude, you got to do that. Telling that story is going to make you so relatable because so many people are in insurance just because of whatever reason, they just landed there. They don't have a personal driver. That's why wow. And he's like, I can't share that story. And I'm like, why?
Too emotional for him.
well, emotional, yes, but he's like, I don't want people to think my dad was a stupid guy.
Oh.
And I'm like, well, no, that's the point. Your dad wasn't a stupid guy.
No, he was just busy with life on the hamster
And I'll
wheel,
take care of it someday.
trying to make a mortgage payment, trying to put groceries on the table. And like you said, I know it's important. I'll take care of that. I was thinking of doing that later this year, and then you're not here anymore.
Into me, because I'm not emotional thinking that people are going to think my dad's stupid or they didn't care.
Right.
I look at it from a story standpoint of that's what makes the story gold.
Totally.
Because that other person I'm talking to doesn't think that they need to get life insurance right now. They think they have forever.
Yep.
They don't know the future though.
That's right.
And so if I'm sharing that story of like my dad thought he had forever. My dad's a smart guy. He had investments and he thought he was really taking care of the family, but he didn't get the life insurance. And because of that, we had a struggle getting these things taken care of and tell that story. But like, if your dad's not stupid, it's not that point, but we're in our heads so much. And it's not just him. There are so many people that won't tell their story because they feel like, oh, people are going to laugh at me. I'm going to call Christy out because like she's in our group and Christy needs to be called out. And if she's in the car right now listening to this, I told you, I told you, Christy.
Hey, Christy, how's it going?
So Christy's amazing. And she's another one of those people. She's in payroll processing, right? Payroll processors, credit card machines.
Yes, yep.
I'm sorry, not payroll processing.
Yep.
I keep saying that. Payment processing, credit card processing. And we're several sessions into boot camp and I'm just like, why do you do what you do? And she's like, without skipping a beat, she says, I grew up with a family of entrepreneurs. My mom and dad both owned businesses. And she was like, and I watched behind the scenes as they got nickel and dimed in so many places. And so I'm just really passionate about helping the small business not have to get nickel and dimed and not get feed to death. Like, wow, that's a really good freaking story.
She's been consistent with that. I heard that from her too. And I thought to myself, you must be going to Jason's boot camp. That's good.
So she had this really, like through boot camp, she had this prospect that she was, I love telling these stories. So she has this boot camp, this prospect that she went out to and she felt like she was bugging them. She like kept going out there and they weren't doing anything. They were nice to her and they told her she could keep coming back. But the guy that owns the business, we found out the wife was the decision maker. The husband was the guy that she was talking to and he was dragging his feet. And so it was several months of time that she was going through with this guy. And finally she lands the sale. Long story short, she goes in there a few weeks after she got them all set up. They're using her services. Maybe a month later down the road, she goes into the place. And the receptionist, who she's only met once, jumped out from behind her desk and said, "Oh my God, you're the credit card processing lady." And she was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "I'm gonna hug you."
Aw,
and she was awesome. She was like, not only did you save us money, she was like, it used to take me till 8:30 to close it. She's like, we close at 7. I wouldn't leave this building until 8:30 because it took me forever to close out the batch on the system and blah, 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 blah. She's like, guess what time I'm leaving now? And Christy's what? She's like, 7:05. I'm out of here by 7:05. It saved her an hour and 25 minutes. So an hour and 25 minutes that she's there, that's her time. That's an hour and 25 minutes of pay that the owner is also paying. Plus the back end girls are getting tipped more often because the system's just easier. And she's listing off all these things. Well, Christy doesn't like cold calling. She doesn't like knocking on doors. It's uncomfortable, right? For anybody going and knocking on doors.
Trying to meet people and do networking.
And so that's what she's doing it the right way, but she's also mixing in and going out and knocking on doors. Well, this is a success story for, you know what? I don't like knocking on doors. I don't like getting rejected. But I did it this one time and look what happened. Yeah. And I'm like, that's a post. Put it out there.
Totally. Because
this is the thing. And this is my whole theory and not to take over the show. But go do Cirrusnet. Go do the one-on-one meetings, like take it outside of the meeting, the weekly meeting that you're doing or the member minute that you do, build real life connections and real life, relationships with people that you're meeting in the group. And then put out content. Serve your market, right? Tell your story.
Amen.
Build a know, trust that's out there and it's putting lighter fluid on the sparks that you're building, right? You're going out there and you're creating little fires. Now let's put the lighter fluid on it and connect the fires and build a big old bonfire that's called your business, right? Yes. It's called your revenue and your business development. So Christy, boom, you're doing all this work. You're out everywhere. You're great. Like if, as far as payment processors, if you came into my store, I would want to talk to you, right? Like you've got a great personality, you like all the things, right? Now put that content out there. Just here, I'll make a post for you. I made a post for her, like put it out there. 2 months goes by, no post. So today she comes to boot camp and I'm like, you're doing the post before you leave here. She pulls out her laptop. She's like, for sure, going to get it done. Before I got here, she put that post out at 11 o'clock. Last time I checked it was 12:30. She had 70 reactions and 15 comments on it.
Wow. Wow, that's wonderful. That is great. And it's really cool because when you get to that point, the way that Christy was able to help this business, not be nickel and dimed, have a better system that makes it so one of their prized employees can now go home and see their family an hour earlier than they're used to. What that does then is it makes it so her voice now has even more weight than it ever had. So if she's got one or two really awesome other providers that she's got a referral relationship with, a customer like that that's hugging her, she can also say, well, hey, I also have some phenomenal contacts, whether it's, commercial insurance, whether it's other things that you can know. Hey, what about you've got Mo on that team, right?
Yep.
What about the office equipment and other things? Once somebody respects what you've done for them, then when you say, I know another way to help you, they're like, really? Tell me more. So again, that's to me, it's like trying to find that next thing. The last thing that we should ever be doing is finishing our business with the client and then it ends there. There
Absolutely.
always needs to be another connection, another introduction. And I think that's where having a story, like what you just talked about, makes a lot of sense. And I think that's how you also become a better reputation, better referral passer. And again, the more people that you're able to help with good referrals, people take a second note of you, a third note of you, and then they go, holy crud, I've got to find a way to get this girl a referral.
Yeah.
She's referred a couple people to me.
Yes.
I'm keeping her present with me, and I will ask people, are you happy with what you've got? And this is a time right now where I also think businesses, again, there's still a ton of uncertainty out there. There's still a lot of PTSD that exists on the business level from the COVID, right?
Yep.
Where everything
Yep.
was shut down and businesses had to shuffle and oh my. And then, then you got a change in leadership in the political world and you've got other stuff going on globally and people are like, okay, I guess the best thing to do is to learn to live with uncertainty, isn't it? Because
Eat faces.
won't it always
Yeah.
be?
It's always going to be uncertain. It's always going to be uncertain.
It's meant to be that way, quite honestly. It's meant to be that way because it always has been.
Yeah.
People just feel like, okay, I think things will be better for a while. And the other thing that's interesting right now too, like I'm staying in Howell with a friend of mine. Shout out to my friend Craig, who puts me up every year when I come back. Me and my wife, he's awesome, and his wife, his significant other Renee. Craig runs a pool league over at Brighton Bowl. I'll be playing in my first pool tournament this evening at 5:30, playing some 9-ball. I'm a old pool player from the day. I don't play in Arizona at all. There's too much sunshine and outside.
You're not going into the dark. Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
in Michigan, you got to have your winter sports, right? But anyways, to me, it's you look at like Howell and Brighton, and I often like when I see Brighton and when I see Howell today. Number one, I grew up out this way, so this is where I was learning to drive. This is where I drove a bike around town. I mean, there was nothing but cornfields on Grand River from downtown Howell all the way to that Grand River Road exit. It was like just farms, and then I remember moving back to Livingston County in 1998. And in 2007 and 8 is when the financial collapse started happening. That's when I closed my mortgage company and all the good stuff in my life happened at one time. But one of the things that I
That's the way it
noticed,
goes.
it does. But you drive downtown Howell and like one out of every four storefronts had a for lease sign in front of it. Most of the subs, one out of every four homes had a for sale sign in front of it. And this was all happened, the mortgage collapse that
Yeah.
happened because they made it so anybody could be qualified to buy a house. And, there were mortgage people out there that subprime lending was their heavy thing because they could charge 5% in points. Think about that, $300,000 mortgage, you made $15,000 in fees on just for doing a mortgage.
Wow.
And these people had like prepayment penalties, they were in adjustable rate loans, and I refuse to put people in those situations. And it's because of what we saw in downtown Howell. It's because of what we saw, and and then you look at like Brighton. Even Brighton back then had probably one out of every 5 or 6 stores was for lease. And flash forward to 2025, and
Look at it now. Oh my God.
yeah, Brighton looks like it's mini Birmingham.
Listen, there's probably a huge difference since even last year when you
Oh
were
yeah,
here.
it just gets more beautiful, more sophisticated, more rich all the time. Howell as well. Fowlerville's got some catch up to do. But
For sure.
Howell looks beautiful, and here we are in 2025, and people are spending $20 on a milkshake from M Street Bakery,
Yeah.
and
Insane.
it is insane. And I see all of that, and I look at it, and I go, "This is beautiful," and I hope it lasts longer. But eventually, there are cycles that happen, and we've had overall relatively low unemployment, but things have gotten much more expensive. And I think that we're a society that's addicted to cheap credit. Uh, you know, if you've got interest rates at 3%, 4%, you can afford much more house than if they're at 7%, and you go, oh my goodness, So there's going to have to be at some point some kind of a reckoning. Things just can't go up forever.
Yeah.
And it's a healthy thing. It's a healthy washing out of things. It allows for capital that wasn't allocated wisely to be recycled. Um, I don't know if you and I have ever talked before, but there's a book called The Fourth Turning.
Hmm.
And this guy is just an expert at identifying cycles of psychology and how things work. In about every 100 years, this cycle repeats. And the fourth turning, which is the fourth part of the cycle, is the most uncomfortable. It's when world wars have broken out. It's when other things have happened. It's usually when an old system isn't quite working as well as it
Yeah.
used to, and things are changing. And I think we're in a fourth turning right now. And the way that to kind of summarize the fourth turning and how it all works is like um, it's good times create weak men.
Hmm. Yep.
Weak men create bad times.
Yep.
Bad times create strong men. Strong men create good times.
Yep.
So we're kind of right at that point between like a fourth and first turning. And it's exciting. It's honestly, this is probably one of the most exciting times to be alive, in my opinion. Um, if you can keep your head clear of all the doom scrolling and stuff like that, because they figure it out. People want to click on things they're fearful of. But if you can keep your head on straight and go, oh my goodness, this is really just amazing. I mean, here it is 2025. I live in Arizona, taking care of my clients in Michigan.
Yeah.
I get to come back to Livingston County, and it's like I never left. Like when I see people and hang with people, it's like I've lived here and never left. And and I'm so grateful for that because I spent my entire life up until when I left making deposits on relationships here in this area.
Yeah.
And if we didn't have the technology like Zoom and other ways to communicate and be together, it would have been another failed long distance relationship. Because could you imagine doing Cirrusnet by phone call only? Hey, everybody dial in.
Ooh, man, no,
That would not work.
no.
You gotta have the video. You
Yeah.
gotta have the video. And then eventually, it'll be you put your sunglasses on, click a little button, and
You'll
you're
be able
in
to
the
watch 'em.
Cirrusnet meeting room.
Yep.
You've got your perfect emoji of Jason there in the meeting room that's sitting right next to somebody else. And
Yep.
it will get there. I mean, it's gonna be like seamless. And that's very cool. But I think that there's still the PTSD that exists from the COVID. And kind of a funny thing, I've seen this happen like over this last 6 months or so in particular, where I've had people on my Tuesday morning 8 o'clock group or my Wednesday morning 8 o'clock group show up on the wrong day. And I'll be like, hey, it's great to have you this morning. Don't I normally see you on Wednesdays at 8? And they'll go, is it Wednesday?
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, and you're not young, you're not old either. You should be able to keep track of the days better than somebody in their late 60s. But
That's so funny. That's so funny.
but it's important, to be mindful of what people are going through and what people have been put through. Some of it self-inflicted, some of it just bad decisions all around, right? But here we are in today's world, and like we were talking about before the podcast, I think focusing on the positive, focusing on uh, doubling down is the most important thing. And kind of following up on that message, Connor Messina. You had
Yeah.
Connor here, and you did a podcast with him. What a
Yep.
good guy! I really
Super
enjoyed.
good guy.
Me being a sports fan and liking the Lions too didn't hurt being a listener of that episode. But Connor uh, had another person from one of the companies that he was with that was in Cirrusnet that wasn't sure if they were going to be able to make the commitment just because they had some changes in another thing that they had going on. And Connor's message to this person was, you don't want to quit. You don't want to quit. You've now made some relationships. You now have some bridges to people. You've been able to gain some clients. And if you stop now, it'll be like you never started. The important thing now is to kind of double down, see where you can do more, because that's going to have more of a positive impact for you. And that's Connor, rather than saying, "Oh yeah, it's tough out there, and you got to really balance your time right." And I get it. So yeah, maybe Cirrusnet's not a good fit right now. No, I mean, there's always going to be stuff that feels like it's a good fit right now, but not the perfect fit 30 days from now or 6 months from now. But what is you gotta continue to show up for people. And I love that message of doubling down, Connor. And it was great because he inspired, because a lot of people look at Connor, he's been building a book
Yep.
successfully in an industry that's not easy to attain that level of success, but Connor's been able to do it. And because of that, people look to him, and he gives the right advice. And we were talking about this before the show. I think that people really do respect and appreciate it when somebody takes that time to give them an inspirational talk, be either just an ear to listen to and again encourage. But just a couple quick short stories. I remember like when you just had started your business. And I never know, like when somebody first comes into Sirius, I have no idea where they're at in their business cycle. If they've been
Yeah.
doing it already for a few years, did they just get started? And you were just very into the beginning of starting your sales coaching. And Jim Campbell invited you to that meeting at the Lions.
The Lions, yeah. Yep.
Yeah, and
Which is really crazy because later, several years later, when I joined the group, a couple years later when I joined the group, I realized I pulled out a sheet from that day of when I visited. I'm like, oh my God, I'm on the Wednesday 10 a.m. group. That was the group I visited.
was it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is crazy. Well, so the funny thing is you came in, and I think I recognized you either from the wireless store, maybe popping in there once before, because I know Brian Biskner,
Yep.
you coached him. But I think I might have also seen you at the Yes networking stuff,
Oh,
because
for sure.
I went and did some of that as well too.
Yep.
But I followed up with you a little bit, but I could just tell at that point you were still like really trying to figure out like that, what's my perfect way to help people, and how can I express
It's lasted
that?
till just now.
I get that. I totally get that, brother. I do. But the thing is I wouldn't ask somebody
Go ahead, keep talking.
to take a step forward and do something like Cirrusnet when you don't have what it is that you want figured out yet. Because if I have you join a group and you're not able to, and you still haven't figured out what you are yet, how is anybody going to be able to help you or refer you if you're not sure yet of what that is, right? So I think I tried to follow up with you a little bit. And, you probably had a lot of follow up from different people because you're probably getting out there and just trying to get the lay of the land and what are things that are worth your energy and attention and what are things that you can skip to later. But the funny thing is I did feel like I want to stay in touch with him though, because I got a feeling that when he finds that thing,
Yeah.
this guy's going to be golden. He's
Yep.
going to be kind of unstoppable. So the cool thing is I think it was even after when we were into the pandemic, I think it was that first year into the pandemic. I can't remember exactly what it was, what inspired maybe I can't remember what it was that inspired me to reach out to you, but I'm like, let's grab a cup of coffee at the Starbucks in
Yeah.
Milford.
Yep.
Do you remember what it was? Do you remember what it was that made me reach out to you?
Well, so it might have been before. I think that was before COVID, actually.
Was it right before COVID?
Yeah, and then I joined Cirrusnet. We had a conversation. You asked me to be an on-demand speaker for Referraltopia.
Referraltopia,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. And that was during the pandemic because I don't remember visualizing you ever in an in-person meeting after that one visit that you had at the Lions Club way back then.
Yeah.
Because if you did, you would have visited me, I think.
And I was trying to think, did I meet with you even before that Lions Club thing? I remember meeting you at the Starbucks in Milford.
I don't think so.
No, was it not? Okay.
I don't think so. And I think, the thing is I think you were maybe getting your podcast going and a few other things, and I maybe went to your website, and I'm like, okay, he's got a podcast.
Yeah.
He's starting. He's got a website now. He's got some other cool stuff. I think he's put himself in a position now that he can play with others and play confidently and bring some value. And so, you and I went to Starbucks, but the main thing, I didn't go there, quote unquote, to like sell you a Cirrusnet membership.
Yeah.
I came there because I wanted to get to know your story. I wanted to share my story with you and see where you were at with your business. And then when it felt right, I'm like, okay, I think Jason's ready to play. And then I'm like, hey, check out this roster. Take a look at the people that are a part of this group. This is a Wednesday group at 10 o'clock. It's on Zoom. Some of the people and you recognize some and you're like, okay, yeah, they're not playing in the child sandbox. This is the good sandbox to play in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why don't you come and visit, get a sense of it, and if you like it, let's have you be on this team. And there is a sense of, it's not really sales so much as it just kind of like appropriate suggestions
Absolutely.
at the right time.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you had joined earlier, you might have been frustrated because you might have been more frustrated with yourself. And, we've got to start getting some customers too, because have you ever been like hanging out with somebody who's not achieving their goals and not getting it's like, where's their head at most of the time?
Bad. Oh, it's not good.
It's not good.
And if you're around that, you're going down that same tunnel.
Right. But on the flip side of that, it's like, so I was patient. I wanted to keep in touch with you kind of lightly and see where things went with you. Oh, I know where it was. You also introduced me to Chris, the guy that does a podcast too. He was in some sort of a websites. Was it Chris?
Chris Hingst.
Chris
Yeah.
Hingst.
Yeah.
And I did a little thing with him, and then I saw you guys were together. I'm like, oh, hey, Jason and Chris are hanging out.
Yeah.
I'll hang out with Jason. And so anyways, but the fun thing is that because I waited till it was the right time, you were able to come into Cirrusnet and work it the way that somebody who now has some experience with people and networking and knows their own story can work it.
That's a really cool reflection, really cool story, because it's, I felt that as far as figuring out my business, kind of going along. 2020 hit, and for me, I dove a lot into LinkedIn. There was
I remember.
What do you do? There's all the networking meetings are not going on.
I just got to throw something out there. I go to LinkedIn, and I'm so hesitant to accept anyone's friend
Oh
request
man.
because I
Yeah.
could just put money down. I could, if I made a drinking game out of it,
She would be inebriated by the end of the day.
I'd
Yeah.
be going to AA for the rest of my life because it's like, okay, accept request. Boom. Hey, Steve, I've got this amazing program that I'd love to sell you and put you into. And I'm like, oh boy.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So LinkedIn was not as bad as that
No.
before 2020. I got super involved in it right going into the pandemic, and the pandemic hit, and it was like, oh, boom, I'm really cruising along. I'm getting clients from kind of all over, and we talked about Cirrusnet, and I'm like, I talked to Wendy, I talked to Doug, I was kind of
Yeah.
taking the Cirrusnet tour,
Sure.
and I was like, I'm just kind of like virtual. I'm hitting everybody. I'm doing all this stuff, and I'm doing a lot of speaking stuff, and so I think I'm good. But then when you approached me, we were doing the on-demand thing, and you're like, hey, and it's exactly what you said. I got this group. I think it would be really good for you. I'm going to send you over the roster. Take a look at it. No pressure either way. If it's not the group for you, no big deal. But I just thought of you, and that's like that's my way of selling too. Is like, I thought of you. This may serve you.
It's matchmaking. It's just paying attention. It's curating. It's,
Yeah.
hey, I notice you have a hot dog. Would you like mustard with that? Oh my gosh, I'm trying to sell somebody mustard. Somebody throw me in jail.
Exactly. Well, okay. So I had a new client coming in here for the podcasting, right? And he was like, "Yeah, if for podcasting, doing a podcast episode for this price, I'm in. I want to come in and see the studio, though. Awesome. If I just went along and said, I had a client, right? He said, I see the price. That's what I want. I'm going to do it. I could have just kept it at that and got that price. However, I asked him a few questions. What do you really want to do with this podcast? Like, what do you want to see it go? Like, what kind of attention are you trying to get on it? What are you getting out of it now? Are you happy with what you're getting out of it now? What I see as a big gap is like, you've got all these great podcasts. You're interviewing all these really famous people, and that's really awesome. But nobody's seeing it because nobody's watching hour-and-a-half long podcasts unless they're really in tuned and invested into it. And so how do you get them invested into it? Well, put out short little clips of you and Lance Parrish, or you and Mickey Redmond, or you and Darren McCarty, or you and these amazing people that you're interviewing, and continually be consistent with it. And you're going to get, and I can do that for you for this price, upcharge, right?
Yes.
You can do it. I can take, but I know the reason why you're not doing it is because you told me this. So I can make it easy for you for $150 more a month. We can do this.
Yeah.
Boom. Yeah, let's do it.
And that's okay. So are we looking to shake people upside down and shake all the money out of their pockets? No.
Yeah.
You're just trying to qualify, do you have the money in your pocket to get you where you want to go?
And it's about making them happy, because you can have the podcast, but what do you really want to happen out of it?
Correct.
Like, where do you really want it to go? And if you continue doing what you're doing, it might feel okay, but at the end of the day, you're questioning, like, why am I not making any money? Why is it not growing? And you get frustrated. And you start searching for other solutions, versus if I can sit down and I can understand really what your vision is and where you're trying to go, I can help you solve that problem.
Yeah. Well, and I think too, so you get some opportunities when you're in your line of work, as well as when I'm in my line of work, to be difference makers. We've talked about, not everybody that goes to quit Cirrusnet or is going to leave Cirrusnet that I'm going to object to, and try to keep that person in the network. Like, if no disrespect to any chamber out there, but I've belonged to a few of them.
Yep.
Over time, and never, any time that I quit, did anybody get a hold of me and say, "Hey, Steve, we'd really love to have you have more impact at the chamber. We're just kind of curious, where did we lose the value? Are you doing something different?" And you're missing a lot when you can't get that kind of data. But there are times in the network, like when somebody tells me that they've got to go, depending on who they are and what the story is, it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
And I'll be like, "Hey, I get that. Thank you for the time that you spent with us. You did awesome. You passed some great referrals. You got some great referrals. Congratulations on your promotion, or you're moving to another state, or whatever it is.
Yep.
But congratulations on that." And my door's always open. I've welcomed people back into Cirrusnet that were members 12 years ago this year. And it's because I don't make people feel bad if this doesn't fit what's going on for them right now. It won't always be a good fit. For some people, it will.
Hmm.
But for some people, they need to take a break or it's not a good fit. Sometimes when somebody quits or is expressing that they don't think they can do it anymore, depending on who they are and what the circumstance is, I will definitely try to talk them off the ledge. Robert Pierce. And the reason I'll do that is because, somebody like Robert, who owns This Guy Cleans House, just a phenomenal, phenomenal human being
Yep.
and a great business. I mean, I've used his service for a house that I had. He did my move out cleans, getting things ready for the next renters. And he was referred to me by Angela Pucella as well as Christina Maria, the photographer.
Mm.
They both
Yeah.
referred him to me, and he came to my house and did the estimate. And then I said, so, each of them referred you to me, and the reason each of them brought me up to you is because they know that you're leaving your company to go start this cleaning company and cleaning. I think he was in retail at Target or something of that nature, and then he left Target to start his own house cleaning company. And they felt that you would really recommend or really benefit by being with other professionals and growing your business through Cirrusnet. So I had to talk with him about what Cirrusnet was because I don't expect my clients to give like the dissertation as to what Cirrusnet is the same way I would do it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, to me, just enough to whet somebody's interest is good enough. I'll do the rest. And so Robert agreed after we talked to come and visit the team that you're a part of, and so we attended it. And we talked right after. He's like, "Yeah, let's do it. This sounds great. I liked it. I liked the meeting. It was better than I thought it was going to be. I wasn't sure how it was going to be on Zoom, but I loved it." And I'm like, "Great." So he starts. I'm like, "Great. Got a house cleaner on the team. This guy's a great person." And then 90 days later, I get a text from him that he's got to miss a meeting or two because he had to take on a cleaning client. I don't know if maybe somebody that he had hired to do it wasn't able to do it. So now Robert's in the field, can't make the Cirrusnet meeting. And he started feeling, I could tell just by the text, I could feel the weight on him. Like, I want to do these things, but I've got to be in the field to make money. And,
Yeah.
you could chase your tail all day long
The
with that.
beginning entrepreneur struggle. For
Yes.
sure. It's real.
Yep. So, he's somebody I didn't want to see go. So, I called him rather than texting back and said, "Hey, do you have a few minutes?" Number one, Cirrusnet is not 100% thing. You don't have to be at 100% of the meetings. I deal with people who have very, very thick schedules, lots of moving parts to their lives. And if I were to expect people to be there at 100% of the meetings or 90% of the meetings, it's unrealistic. It's unrealistic. And, but 80% is what I'm looking for. Don't worry about this. Like if your goal is to build your business and you keep focusing on it, I'm running the team meeting. I can take care of the team. And if you need to miss a meeting, just text me, tell me you're not able to make it, and that's fine.
Yeah.
I appreciate communication. I appreciate people that don't show up. Sometimes there are people that are on my teams that they don't check in, they don't show up, and now I've got to be the one that's outbound going, "Hey, I missed you at the last meeting. Are you okay? Will we see you at the next one?" And I do that because I want people to know that I am paying attention to who's there and who's not there.
Yeah.
But with Robert, I'm like, man, you've got ambitions to grow your business. This is probably one of the best Cirrusnet teams you can be on. And if you stop now, you might not keep going and you're going to miss out on a ton. So we talked, and he said, I feel so much better. Yeah, I'm going to stay in. I'm going to stay in it. And then, he becomes the MVP of the team and becomes a Cirrusnet facilitator and is running a team out in Fenton, which the cool thing about that is he asked me when he was thinking about becoming a facilitator. I invited him to a facilitator workshop luncheon that I was doing over at the Howell Winery after the breakfast a few years ago. And he sat down and heard all the facilitators kind of talk about their journey and what they liked about facilitating and, the bruises along the way. And he was just very engrossed into just kind of listened a lot. So I couldn't tell, like, is this registering with Robert? Did this being a part of this further excite him, or maybe pour the cold water on it just a little bit? But then where his hang up was he wasn't sure if his vision for doing it was going to be okay in the Cirrusnet system. And his vision for doing it is having a Cirrusnet team that brings the Holy Spirit into it.
Yep.
A Cirrusnet team that's guided by God.
Yep.
Where they feel like they're doing holy work together. And it's not like they're baptizing people at a Cirrusnet meeting. It's just they might open with a prayer for God to bless these businesses, to bless their mission, to bless that they think of each other and are able to support each other and refer each other. I said, Robert, that is a beautiful thing. I have no problem with there being a divine Cirrusnet team, because there are people that's going to speak to. There are some people that's going to scare away, but that's okay.
Absolutely.
Because you're not trying to attract those people.
You're not trying to attract them. Absolutely.
And there are many people that might just be more agnostic over it. They might be like, hey, I have no problem with going somewhere that opens in prayer. I think that's a nice way. I'm not necessarily like a devout Christian or something like that, but Robert's not demanding that. He just wants to have people that are okay with that.
This is what we
prayer.
do. Yeah. So you're not uncomfortable when all of a sudden that's happening. Like there's the expectation set.
Correct. Yeah. So, Robert's done a great job with his Fenton team. You had Tom Rivers here a couple podcasts ago, kind of kicking off your new studio. And, I get somebody like Tom that joins one of my teams who does the C12, Christian advisory groups for businesses that want to have those biblical principles and, grow their business in a truly faithful way. And so, when you were talking about the people that he was connecting with, I'm like, yeah, those were like all like the first initial. You got to meet Doug Moffat, right? You got to meet John Manueller. You got to meet Robert Pierce. All these people that are running around advertising, I'm openly Christian and I love it. Those are the people you need to meet too. So it's just very cool to see Robert grow his business, and Kevin Zyskowski, big part of that. A lot of people in Cirrusnet have we all kind of lend our hands to each other a little bit. We all learn from each other. And I always say, like in Cirrusnet, there's the expected, there's what you're going to expect to see, and parts of the experience that you're going to expect to have happen. But then there's unexpected, beautiful gems that happen between people just through a great collaboration, a great synergy. And you can't advertise those things.
Yeah.
Those are things that each person sets out and finds on their own individual Cirrusnet journey, right? Your journey is a different journey than my journey and Doug's journey or anybody else's journey. They're similar but different. And so, when we talk about caring enough about people to say, hey, let's pull back just a little bit for a minute. Let's take a deep breath. Let's do the bird's eye. There's no decision that has to be made today. Robert, you don't need to decide to quit Cirrusnet today. How about we just pull back? Because sometimes your eyes opening another day, you just feel different about something.
And I loved it because you talked about this, talking about this topic, and it immediately made me think of before I started my business as a sales director for a company in going through and having to let go of people or someone coming to me and saying like, what, I'm not making any money, or, it's time for me to quit. I'm going to get this other job. I got this other job offer. And there'd be some people that'd be like, good luck, best wishes. Not because I didn't like them or anything else. It's just like, you're right. This is not a good fit for you.
Correct.
This is not a good fit. It wouldn't serve me in order to keep you. I might need bodies, but like it wouldn't serve me to keep you. And that's like when I look at selling or leadership, it's like when we are literally serving people. There'd be other people. I had this kid, Josh, that, he'd constantly come to me and be like, I'm going to, join the Navy. I'm going to go be a police officer. I'm going to go sell cars. I'm like, bro, you can't sell phones. How are you going to go sell cars? And, like, it's a hard industry. And like, for real, like let's buckle into this. And like, I'd be real with him, but he was making progress. And when he was like, he like came to me, he's like, I got this offer, I'm going to quit. And it's like, just right there, you're right there. I'm not trying to convince you or like be greedy for me, but man, like it's like the diamond, you're digging for diamonds and you're like right there. And now you're
Yes.
going to turn around and go an opposite way. And it's going to take you down a different path. You might do, like stay, like I promise, stay. You're right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, so just being, I think anybody listening to this, don't ever, ever, ever underestimate the value of kindness, paying it forward, just investing in people a little bit, providing encouragement. People really need that. And they remember the people that do that for them and with
Absolutely.
them. And so Robert Pierce, I just love seeing that. And there have been some experiences in Cirrusnet too, where this morning when I was over at the Brighton Coffee House, I had a number of folks from different teams stopping in to say hello and hang out and schmooze for a little while. And one of the gentlemen that I didn't know was going to be there that came there is real estate agent out of my Canton team. His name's Scott Shea. Awesome guy, just awesome guy. And the funny story is that he's the only real estate agent that team's ever had. So from the beginning, he's still on it. But he's more than just on it; he's in it. It's like every time a visitor comes to that team, he is somebody that will call them afterwards, want to go grab a cup of coffee, and it's because he is genuinely interested in getting to know another person, seeing how he can be helpful. And how many other people to meet a real estate agent at networking things that never does any of that stuff? And it's not like he's doing it hoping to list your home tomorrow, but he just wants to be helpful.
Yeah.
And but I got to tell you this little story about Scott. So uh, we were at that point with the group where we were getting ready to kind of go through the first growth phase to then grow the group to that next phase where you actually look like a team. Other people are going to be attracted to it. So building that solid foundation of having the right people. So my wife Ava was the person that started the Canton team initially. She got it going, got to meet people out in Canton, and then it got to a point where it was time for Steve to take it over, and we were still trying to figure out the real estate agent spot. So two agents come to the group. I'm not going to name the other one. We'll just call him. Well, we'll call his first name. His name was Andy. And so Andy comes to the group, and Scott comes to the group. And so I've got two people that I'm evaluating in my mind. Who is going to be the one that's going to give the most to the group is
Yeah.
what I think. Who's got the most ability to give to the team? Because it's the one that gives to the team is going to be the one that receives the most from the team. And uh, so this Andy guy was talking about, he's like the number one person at his office, and how many homes he sells every single year, like, hundreds, and all this stuff was really just trying to be this, impressive. He just had this look about him like, I don't even need to wipe my butt when I'm done pooping. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
everything is
Yeah.
perfectly clean about me. And then Scott, his presentation was just much more down to earth and more relaxed and more interested in other people versus standing there and spouting off all these stats about I went to University of Michigan, I did all these things, and
Mhm.
he didn't do any of that. His interest was getting to know the people. So we get back, and my wife was still kind of a student at trying to figure out how do you put together the chemistry of a team, because a lot of people would think, oh, the person to give it to is the one that's got hundreds of transactions every year because they're going to be with all these customers. And the reality is the person that's doing hundreds of transactions probably has 5 assistants under them managing these transactions. How many are lead driven? And so when I called Andy to tell Andy, Andy, thank you so much for visiting the Cirrusnet team. You know, you're obviously very successful, and you come to me from a good referral source. Like the referral source that he came from was not happy with me that I didn't take him on my team, because
Hmm.
he had even taken time to go be a part of that team meeting and bring the guy there.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
And he got a lot of, he was a mover. He got a lot of business from the real estate agent. And so I said, you know, Chris, you know, I appreciate you bringing Andy to me and stuff, but I'm going to be going with the other agent. So he wasn't happy about it. And when I told Andy that I was going with Scott, Andy really quickly got kind of defensive about it. Are you kidding me? I run circles around Scott Shea's production. I sell more homes in 1 year than he would sell in 5 years. And I'm like, that's just one of the reasons I don't
That's one of the. And conversation done. Thank you for
Well,
confirming I made the right choice,
yeah,
right? It's
because
like,
yes, because here's the thing, like Amy Knight. I don't know if you know
yeah.
Amy.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Amy is like a legacy real estate agent here in Brighton. And when she came and visited one of my teams, at the same time another agent was able to visit the team, I had to give the other agent the opportunity to be a part of that team. The other guy had gotten there first. This was his second meeting. He showed up. He was solid. Brought the mortgage person that joined. And while I loved meeting Amy and I thought she was fantastic, I apologized to her. I said, I really wish I had a spot for you because you're exactly who I'm looking for.
Yeah.
And rather than her going, but Steve,
But Steve.
I'm from a legacy real estate agency, and my office closes more transactions than the person that you brought in. What Amy said was, Steve, I totally understand. I totally understand. And I said to her, I said, if you don't mind, Amy, you know, I never know when there's going to be an opening for a real estate agent on one of my teams, but I would love to reach out to you if that were to happen. And if that were to happen, all you would need to do is come visit that team. And if you give me the thumbs up, then you're the real estate agent. So Amy, rather than Andy, you know, where Andy's like, screw you, I outperform Scott, blah blah blah. Uh, Amy was like, oh, I totally understand, and yes, please keep my name on you know on hand. And if an opportunity does come up, please reach out to me. So you know, you can tell good people by how they
Absolutely.
handle not getting what they want initially. Do
Yep.
they still have tact? Are they still, or are they offended? Right. And so Scott, you know, he's been the MVP of that team. He organizes team get togethers with others on that team, and he's at every one of them. You know, we all make good decisions with certain people in our lives, and it's like he's one of those ones that like one of the top better decisions, because if I was a rookie doing Cirrusnet and I wasn't sure who to take, I might have tried to take the flashy person
Oh,
being sold
absolutely.
by the flash,
Absolutely.
you know. And Scott, you know, he's still one of the better producers over at Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, he's you know, he handles referrals well, I can tell you that firsthand. So you know, he's just a great person, and you can't build a team without people that actually care about the people on the team.
What's huge and what a cool story in the sense of how quickly it fleshed out for you to understand I made the right decision. Even if it wasn't Scott that comes in and does a great job, you knew that this guy wasn't the guy. And then for Scott to turn out being the MVP, being the guy that has done so well, being the guy that came all the way out to Brighton to see you when you came in, you know, from out of town, like that's really cool how that happened. It's like not every client is our client.
That's right. That's right. And the other thing too is, you know, I've given referrals as much as possible to just about everybody that I can in Cirrusnet. And you know, I probably have the best qualified real estate agents, the best qualified mortgage people. I mean, these are people that they've been doing it for a long time and they actually care about their reputation. They actually care that the client gets a good end result. And, but, you know, how do I refer? I refer based on how I think they're going to mesh with the people I'm referring them to. If I've got 4 agents that I could refer to, or 6 agents, and a couple's going through a divorce, I've got a Leanne McKeon on one of my teams from Movement Mortgage, and she's a certified divorce mortgage specialist that can
Mm.
help people.
Yep.
She can work with the attorneys, the financial advisors. And if I hear somebody's doing this because of a divorce, who do you think is going to be the first
Oh,
person that comes to mind?
5,000%. Yeah.
And each one of them have kind of their own thing that they stand on better than most people do. So, Scott has just been phenomenal. In his company, Berkshire Hathaway, they sell all across, the United States as well too. And I've got an uncle that graduated also from the University of Michigan. I know Scott graduated from the University of Michigan. My uncle has his house for sale in Washington State right now, looking to move to Tucson. And Scott vetted an agent out of the Tucson area through Berkshire Hathaway, through his real estate agent firm. And my uncle has thanked me so many times about like how great this agent was. They
Oh, that's
saw like
awesome.
25 homes when they were there in Tucson, well knowing they weren't going to put an offer on any of them, that they were really looking to try to understand the communities that they could be in, what the different communities had to offer, and that they would go back to Washington, put the house up for sale if they wanted to move to Tucson, which they're in the process of doing. So, to me, because Scott had that University of Michigan, because of who I know Scott is, and that Scott's going to be detail oriented, who he's going to find to match with my uncle. And then, once a deal finally happens, Scott gets a referral credit from that. So that helps put some food on his table. So it's all, to me, it's all, and then I've got other ones that like, I've got an agent out of one of my Ann Arbor groups that she specializes in vacant land. Most real estate agents want to run from vacant land, and she is phenomenal at it. So it's like you gotta kind of match up all these different agents. Where are their areas of specialty, or is it a very specific market that they know better than anybody else? But it has been a wonderful resource to be able to hand people off. But I think matchmaking and dot connecting is also really important as well too, because you could have a great real estate agent and somebody that needs to sell their house, but if they don't have much in common, one's super quiet, one's over the top,
Yep.
it could be like, why did you refer that person to me? I couldn't wait to get them out the door.
Exactly.
So shout out to Dr. Lisa Profira, who's going to be at the Cirrusnet Breakfast on Wednesday. She is phenomenal. So she's one of those medical doctors that was, an MD for a long, long time in the system, and was just disenfranchised over a period of time at her inability to really spend a lot of time with patients, really get at the root causes of things versus what the insurance companies and everybody else directs you to do.
Yeah.
So she left, I'm sure a well-paying job in that field, but it owns you. It's 100% of your life. And she started her own, uh, what I call it's a rejuvenation practice. So she helps people kind of reverse their aging, helps them look better. She can help people get rid of migraines with Botox injections. She is a licensed medical marijuana card issuer. If somebody's thinking that green plant medicine can help them sleep better or concentrate better, she will educate them about the different cannabis and what they can be used for and how to use them properly. Um, just does so many different things. And one of the other things that she does is she's got her own CBDs, her own brand of CBDs
Oh,
that she
wow.
sells. She'll be at the breakfast with all that stuff. And she has this thing called Sinus Blaster that she's made. I buy it every year from her. And I wake up in the mornings, even in Arizona sometimes. I have to get up at 4 in the morning to be ready to run my Cirrusnet meetings by 5 a.m. in
Yeah.
Arizona.
Yeah.
So I'm waking up kind of maybe in the middle of a normal sleep cycle, and sometimes my sinuses just start kind of draining into the back of my throat, and I'll have to be sucking on like Fisherman's Friends or doing other things to try to get my voice back before I'm starting a meeting, and I know I've got to talk like the first 20 minutes of the meeting. Her sinus blaster, I get like a little cup of water, put a drop of it in there, stick it in the microwave with a little thing of like candy wrap over it so it can kind of steam up. and then I take it out of the microwave, lift the handy wrap up, and I'm just breathing in the vapor
Oh,
that
wow.
comes through this sinus blaster. And I kid you not, in about 1 minute, it's gone.
Wow.
And this was something, even, I've dealt with this my whole life. So when I was in Michigan, I would be getting up at, I don't know, 5:36 in the morning to get ready for the day. And almost as soon as I would get into my car leaving my house to drive from Howell to Brighton, the sinuses would just start draining down the back of my throat. So for like the first half hour of every morning, I'm like that trucker that's spitting out their window and phlegming it up and everything.
Oh, man.
Headache from like sneeze coughing and stuff like that. So this sinus blaster takes care of all of it. I don't have to deal with any of that anymore. Um, Boy, one of the 1,001 reasons I love Cirrusnet. All the ways that my life
All
is,
the people.
all the ways my life has gotten better thanks to Cirrusnetters. And I also wanted to say something too. I've got to say one more thing about a real estate agent. Yeah, Angela. She was also somebody that was very gracious when I was going through the process of trying to figure out who's the right real estate agent for the Wednesday 10 o'clock group. There were two other agents that were kind of vying for that spot. But Angela, in addition to going to the team meetings, she did a Referraltopia. She went to the Referraltopia Afterglow. She was really showing that this is something she really wanted. And I also really appreciated her shining personality, somebody that always can bring sunshine into a situation. So, she's been an outstanding member of this team. So, I'd rather not have an agent on a team than have the wrong agent on a team or mortgage person or anybody from that standpoint. Somebody who's kind of an energy suck, or as you mentioned, somebody who's self-centered. It's,
I think we're the most successful, most happy as entrepreneurs, business people in general, when we're doing business with the right people. And I talk a lot about riches and niches and really, breaking down and really understanding what are the traits of an ideal client. And we've talked about it here over the last like 30 minutes or so, in and out between the different people that we've talked about, and even talking about your groups and how you can identify the right people. You can identify them by just, you could probably, I would be willing to guess, not to put words in your mouth, but I'd be willing to guess within 30 seconds to a minute, of talking to somebody, you could probably start to understand if they're a good fit.
I think I can quickly find out if somebody's not a good fit. Uh, Sometimes, okay, so with facilitators, uh, Chaz Carrillo has been awesome out of the Lansing area. He's like Cirrusnet Lansing. He is the green team.
Yep.
Without Chaz, there's no Cirrusnet in Lansing. And when I went out to Lansing, there was another person that was looking at starting a Cirrusnet group out there. And he seemed like, he had all the shine and just seemed like kind of like the other guy I talked about with the mortgage person.
Yeah.
And and with Chaz, he was just very friendly, but he was just kind of authentically, humbly himself. He wasn't, it was a nice conversation and stuff. And I went to his kickoff meeting, and he had like 40 or 50 people coming to this gathering to learn about what Cirrusnet was. And I got the mic to kind of share what it was a little bit. And Chaz had with him, he knew I was a huge Foo Fighters fan. He had some David Grohl drumsticks that he
Oh,
gave me as a gift, which I still have today. And these are the little things that people do and pay attention to. What other things does
that's
somebody
so
like, right?
cool.
So
Yeah.
so Chaz is just like, he's so well loved because he's not about flash. He's about action. He's about action. And he's like, in terms of like the number of things he does, and he's like the Jim Campbell of Lansing from the standpoint he's at all the networking things. But it's anytime if I've got somebody that's with me that clearly I can tell, smoke signals going off, not so sure that this person's the right fit based on 12 things they've said and how they won't give any eye contact and they're checking their phone while they're talking to me. Okay, yeah, I can figure that person's not a good fit. But what I have figured out is that I don't know exactly like who's
Yeah.
going to be the perfect facilitator,
Yeah. Ooh,
because
yeah.
there have been times when somebody comes in, they're like, yeah, I'm going to start one group and then I'm going to start two groups and then I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And they've got this big vision for all the stuff they're going to do. And I'm like, hey, if you could launch one,
If you
eh,
could start here, it'd be
yeah,
pretty cool.
yeah, if you could just get one going and get a feel for it and see if you can have success doing that, there's what you think it's going to be like, and there's what how you think people are going to respond and take ownership of something, and then there's what actually happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've had some people that again were just like totally, oh, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, it's going to be huge, and I'm like, okay, let's just get one. And so Chaz has been super duper solid. Many of them have. I mean, the facilitators I have right now, I think, are the best I've had as a collective, just in terms of solid people. And they know what they're doing with their teams, and their teams like them. And that's huge. And so, seeing somebody like Doug, Doug Moffat, you've had him on the podcast, exceptional human being. And he could have given up on his Detroit team. He started a Brighton team like me. I started Brighton first because I
Yep.
had roots in Brighton. I could call people and say, hey, here's what I'm up to. Come check this out. Doug did the same thing. I went to Ann Arbor next. Guess who else went to Ann Arbor next? Doug started an Ann Arbor group. Why? Because he spent a lot of time in Ann Arbor, had Ann Arbor people. Starts an Ann Arbor group. And then the real challenge now is, can I go to Detroit, where I do not live, where I don't have
People.
people that I've been mixing with for years, that I can just go, hey, look what I'm doing. And it took a long time to get that group to where it is today, which might be around like 15 or 16, so a nice group size. But he stuck with it. The right people on his team stuck with it. And one of the things I love about the way Doug does it, and Steve Beber and myself and others, is we lead by example. I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, I'll go out and I'll try to see if I can even find some people to come visit the group on my own. Hey, you refer somebody to me that wants me to visit the group, like you referred the gal that does the in-home
Yeah.
healthcare.
Yeah.
And I know that right now she's feeling,
Literally working in her business. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's got a capacity issue right now. And, we know the GWC from EOS, you got to get it, want it, have the capacity. So it doesn't matter if you get it, doesn't matter if you want it. But if you're going to be constantly having to put out fires every day, you don't have the capacity to do this.
Absolutely.
And I'm not interested in false starts. I'm not interested in welcoming somebody to a team 1 month and going,
Yeah.
hey, it didn't work out. They're gone already in 60 days.
Yep.
No.
I think once she's in the position, she'll be great. She was so
Yes.
excited to be there,
Yeah.
and she wants to be.
Yeah.
As a business owner, it's like you're in a place where when you start off,
Yeah.
you've got to work in your business.
Yes.
You're out there grinding. You're
Yes.
building your business. You're
Yes.
figuring out what you have, and then at some point, hopefully, you're able to pull out and work on your business.
Yes.
You have a team, you have your system and structure set up, and then you can go on there and grow and go to another level. You can get more clients for your team. There's so much more you can do. And Diana's in that transition. And so it's,
Well,
I'm excited to see when she can plug in, because all
Sure.
she wants more than anything to be able to go. She's like, I want to just dress nice. I want to go to networking meetings. I want to meet other business owners. And she was like that, Mike Johnson was the guy that did the 10-minute presentation that day of the meeting. And she's
Yeah.
like, I need to meet with him because I've never done a financial structure before for my business. And he said a couple keywords. And so I connected her to him, and she connected with Michael Mayernick because he's in that space that she's in.
Yes.
And talk about MVPs. We have to mention Mike. Just I had a post out a few weeks ago on Facebook, and at boot camp, it literally that day we were tracing back how you knew each other, because I think it's important. Stories are data with soul.
Oh, yeah.
And when you can go back and you can start to trace back, like, how did I meet you? How did I get connected to you? How did I get here? How did I, blah, blah, blah. And everybody in the room boiled down, they knew each other because either Mike connected them directly, or he connected them to somebody that connected them to them, or they met me because of Mike, or somebody that Mike connected them with came back and connected them to me. And it was really interesting. So I put this post out of like, hey, if you look up dominate in the dictionary in Livingston County, you're going to see a picture of this guy. And I had a picture of Michael Mayernick and just that go-giver attitude that he has. And how many conversations I have out there when I'm out in the wild of, man, you never believe that the guy that just does the most for me is this mitten junk guy. You know, like there's this junk removal guy that he just like, he's blowing me up with people and like he's connecting me with all these people. And his conversations that I have constantly.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't
then
matter what you do, it's who you are.
it's who you are. It's who you are. And then, but you see him thrive in his
Yes,
business.
yes.
And right away, as he met up Diana, he was like, oh my God, I'm going to put you in these places and these places. And then he sent me a message of like, oh my God, she's a difference maker. She's just, you know, she's got to get out there
Yes.
and do this thing that, you know, connecting and meeting people. And she, you know, had like frustrations of hiring people. And she was like, do I really want to do this? And, you know, like I quit, kind of like, you know, we all go through that. And I sent her the message that Mike sent me. It was like, look at this dude thinks you're a difference maker. I think you're a difference maker. When you go out there, you're a difference maker. You got to keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's going to be tough, but you got to keep doing it. It's the same thing. It'd be easy for me to tell somebody that I didn't think was a difference maker to be like, you know what? Maybe you should look at different situations.
Right. But when somebody is one and you're reminding them of it and you're like, hey, we just got to hammer through this.
Yep.
Most of the time, you just got to lick a few problems and then know how to continually lick them when they pop up and it's done.
Yep.
And you get back to working on your business and doing all the fun things. You know, a lot of people that are in the networking groups, some of them that, you know, are the owners of companies that they have employees for, you know, they go back to their family and their family doesn't want to hear about work, you know, and they probably don't want to talk about it much either because they're home with their family. But if they're looking for people to relate to that are their employees, that's probably not going to work so well either because those people don't look at the business generally the same way as the owner. So when the owner goes into one of those groups, most of the people are either the owner of the company or they're one of the better salespeople in the company and they're well connected. And now you have people that you feel a little bit closer with and you're surrounding yourselves with other people that have the same struggles, same challenges, same dreams. And that's a huge deal. So, you know, kind of getting back to this whole thing where we talked about Connor and his rooting on the person that wasn't sure if they could do this anymore and saying, no, double down. And Robert Pierce and saying, hey, slow down, you know, and giving him a chance, right? And now he's even thinking of adding another Cirrusnet group for him to run. And he wants to do it with that divine style. I love it. I just love it.
I love it. And I brought up riches and initiatives earlier, and we've been kind of weaving through this, but it's exactly that. And a lot of people would, you know, would fear really narrowing it down and saying we're a faith group.
Oh yeah.
Like we, you know, because it is going to turn away some people that don't want to be a part of that. But good, because that's what you want to create. And that's not a bad thing. You're trying to create something and you're going to bring a group together and they're going to really connect and bond and build to do business together because they had got this common thing that they're rallying around, but it's so much easier to find them.
Yes.
You talked about Tom.
Steve Rivers? We got you, Tom.
We got you, Tom. We got you, Tom. So we talked about Tom, you know, in my first conversation with him, he's describing his perfect client. And I'm like, have you met Robert Pierce? And he was like, no, somebody else told me I should meet him too. And I'm like, it's because the reticular activation system, you two need to meet each other. Like, and then a couple weeks later, I get a message from Rob that's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. You've blessed my life of bringing this relationship in, and blah, you know, like, and that's really, really cool when you can do that.
Totally cool.
Just by connecting people together.
Absolutely. No, I mean that's what it's all about. So to me, you know, I always love connecting people when when a new person comes and visits the group. A lot of times. There might even be somebody that's on the call, like on some of my teams, just depending on where they're at and with the meeting. I'll say, hey, would you mind hanging out if I put you in a breakout room with this visitor that's here today just to kind of share your Cirrusnet experience? I'm not listening in. I'm not telling them what to say about their Cirrusnet experience.
Yeah.
But hearing it from somebody other than me automatically lends more credibility to what it is because people are always going to think I'm just going to say whatever needs to be said to get somebody to try to sign up.
Yep.
But my goal isn't to get people to sign up. My goal is to keep building a better team. That's the goal. And sometimes that comes from signing somebody up, and sometimes that comes from asking 3 people to leave.
And you've kind of taken us to the back the behind the curtains of your process, and we talked about like how much I love Cirrus.
Thank you.
People that have listened to the
Thank you, by the
show.
way, for all of the kind things you've said. It's really kind of weird. It's like everybody, Jason and I are not in quote unquote business together or anything like that, but we kind of are.
Yeah, absolutely.
We kind of are, because neither of us need convincing of what we're doing anymore. And we're both helping people in such different ways, but with the same aim.
It's the same aim, and it's truly to help the right people, right? Because again, I've from all the episodes that I give you the shout outs, and it's warranted. I wouldn't say it if I didn't believe it, mean it. When I'm out and I'm talking to people about why they should join Cirrusnet or check it out, and like all of those conversations, it comes down to these same points, and it's like the people talking about the breakfast, and it's all the best, fire hose are the best people. But it's because you don't just take anybody. And I think, a lot of times, as long as you can write the check, you have a space in the group. If you fit the industry and you have the check, you can get in the group.
I'm a private company. I'm a private business. I'm not a nonprofit that's taking grant money
Yeah.
and has to have inclusivity for everything.
Yep.
I don't have to do that.
Yep.
I would be very unhappy if I did.
But what's so great about that is a lot of people do end up folding into the money sometimes, and then that creates an inconsistency in the groups because you're getting certain people that the real estate agent that
Yes.
that more thinking about themselves. And what you've done is you've broken down those walls, and you've taken us through behind the curtains, like I said, of that process in the matchmaking, and even telling that story of the real estate agent of like who's going to serve this group better. Is really, really awesome.
Thank you.
And then I want to touch back because as I'm talking about this, it reminded me of something way back at the very beginning of the conversation in talking about when people leave, they're not like, they're not my client anymore. Right. So I don't, they're not paying me anymore. So who cares about them?
Who cares about them? Right.
And I think again that's another element that just makes this group special and what you're doing special, because I've seen people come to the breakfast or to Referraltopia. They're like, I used to be a member. I've seen so many people that have come back and have joined teams that used to be a member.
Yeah.
And how often do you see that in businesses? Because again, you get thrown out like, okay, you're not serving me anymore. You're just a dime a dozen. Go out the door. Somebody told me the other day like they hate their job and they're looking to be a business owner, and they're like, I've got this feeling, and I say it every single day, that if I died here in this chair making calls, they would just wheel me out and wheel the next person to sit at my computer. And I was like, and if you look at that, like when a client leaves us, is that, wheel them out, wheel the next person in? No, that's not what you do. And again, all these things and who you are create to the culture and what Cirrusnet is.
Yeah, thank you. And it's extremely intentional. It's extremely intentional. So many people have to leave for a different reason. And then the other thing too, look at your clients, look at my clients. We deal with a high turnover rate. Business is a burnout rate. There's so many things that are already automatically up against a business whose goal is to help businesses. Like if I were to look at the business card, if I were to call probably half of the businesses that visited Cirrusnet over the last 5 years where the person didn't join, or I sent them an email, the email will come back saying, so-and-so no longer works at this company.
Wow.
If you need help, please call this number.
What an interesting study there.
It's not that they didn't make it there because they didn't join Cirrusnet, but what I'm saying is because there's some barriers to entry, at the least conversations with me that I'm trying to figure out. If there were no barriers, then like you said, it would all kind of fall apart. But the people that don't join, again, I'm transparent. Here's the number of meetings we run. Here's how much I'm going to expect you to. Here's this thing called a toolbox. This is what you're going to learn how to master as you go through this 1 year long journey. I want you to be here for 1 year. After you've been with me for 1 year, your membership renews month to month. Stay as long or short as you want after that. But don't start with me if you can't commit to a year. I don't want you as a client.
Yeah. Yep.
So by saying that, if that person has any inkling in the back of their mind that I'm on Indeed, I'm on Monster, I'm on all these things and I've been interviewing, how could that person in good faith
join the group.
be a part of that when
Absolutely.
they've already got an exit plan.
Yep.
And you don't know who's in front of you that has an exit plan. Not everybody's going to be upfront with you about where they're at with their business. And I'll also tell people too, like if that's that person, here's what I will tell somebody too that might be in that boat where like, I've tried everything and I guess I'm going to try this. And if this doesn't work, I'm out of business.
Yep.
I will tell somebody, if you're hanging on for dear life from that rope, and your hands are bleeding and you're on the last knot of the tie hanging onto that rope before your business goes out, I promise you Cirrusnet will not save you.
Yeah. Yep.
As a matter of fact, the stress you're going to be feeling being hanging on the end of that rope with the chomping alligators underneath, you're not in a good mental place. You're not in a good spiritual place. How are you going to be thinking of helping other people when you're screaming help yourself?
5,000%. You're thinking about me. And I talk about this a lot as far as like inward, outward mindset. You just because you're thinking about yourself doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. You're worried about your survival.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But I think that, having those open conversations with people, you get a good sense of, again, that get it, want it capacity. And capacity is the biggest thing. Sometimes it's get it. Sometimes people don't necessarily get, because if they haven't had other people in their lives that have lent a hand to them and made a big difference, it's hard for somebody to see why it's important to also be helpful to other people. If you never had that role model to you, then you're living in the world of scarcity.
Absolutely.
And scarcity sucks.
Scarcity sucks. Absolutely.
But scarcity is a mindset. It's not a fact.
It is, and like even thinking about that, like why would I go and speak to other people in the same industry and, that do the same thing as me? And like I've spoke with other sales coaches and we've built synergies and have actually exchanged clients, or I've had one sales coach that I built a relationship with that he ended up having a client that needed an IT guy, and he knew that one of my clients was an IT company. And so he said, hey, I know you're working with these people. Can we connect each other? And then his client ended up being one of my clients, one of their best clients.
Beautiful.
And it's just because we had a relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it's all about. It's very interesting. I think that, again, being where we're at and what's called a fourth turning, there's going to be a grind yet that we still have to go through. And there's no better way to go through a business grind. When I'm talking a grind, we're talking about, hey, did you hear that so-and-so just closed their business? Hey, did you hear that this company is not as successful as they used to be?
Yep.
The only way to get through that, to cross that bridge and to make it safely to the other side while the bridge is burning around you, is with other people in a pack pushing together. Why do I know that? Because Cirrusnet was started in 2007, 2008, during the financial collapse. Brighton and Howell were, not like they look today.
Yep.
And how was it that the people made it through that together? That's how they made it. They made it together. Somebody was there holding people together, getting people to ignore all this outside negativity. You can't do anything about any of that. So why focus on it? What can you do?
Yep.
What can you do?
What can you do?
And what can you do for other people?
We talk about the uncertainty and the things that we can't control. That's the definition of eat faces. Like we could sit here and complain about it, but what's that going to get us? We could sit here all day and be pissed off at all the things that are who's president, whatever. And I could spend all my time on that, right? But then at the end of the day, what kind of change did I make? How did I help myself? Like it's not helping me or my family.
I think that it doesn't take a big person to spot problems, inefficiencies, things you can be critical over. It doesn't take a big person to see problems with things. Anybody can walk into something and find things wrong with it, right?
Yeah.
The people that you want to hang on to, those are the ones that go, hey, have you ever thought of this? I just wanted to put that out there, right? Here's how something maybe could be better. And you know what? Maybe they've thought of that already and it doesn't work.
Yep.
Okay, that's no problem. But maybe, wow, hey, that's a good idea. And to me, there's more possibilities than there are for anything else. But, we're limited to our thinking sometimes until the backs are against the wall. And I think a back against the wall for a lot of people and a lot of businesses can be such a huge blessing, even though it doesn't feel comfortable. What you grow through, you look back on, for all you helicopter parents out there, stop helicoptering. Let your kids scrape their knees. Let them,
Yep.
have their love losses. Let them drop out of college. Let them do these things,
Yep.
because when they make it through, they will be more resilient, they'll be tougher, and the next time the economy's in a crisis or some major thing happens, those people can sit there and go, yes, this really kind of sucks that this is happening, but I've walked through fire. I made it through the other side, and
Yep.
I know that I can get through anything that's coming my way now. But those ones that are rescuing everybody from ever experiencing difficulty, you're really not helping at
You're not
all.
helping them at all.
Not at all.
Nope. They've got to go through it. You make a decision so first off, how do you grow confidence? By making a decision.
Yes.
It literally by making a decision, because that decision is going to lead you to a new experience. And either it's going to be good or it's going to be bad, but either way, you're going to learn through that experience. And then you are able to get stronger. You're able
Yep.
to adapt. You're able to figure out and problem solve. And when you're doing all that for your kids, man, you're robbing them of those experiences. You're robbing them of those opportunities to expand that confidence.
That's right. And I think you've talked about this before, even with some podcast guests in the past, where a lot of times the parent is there trying to help the kid, but it's mostly because the parent has the issue.
Absolutely.
And it's like, man, I
Yeah.
love my kids too. Love Jake and Madison like crazy. And, I've been out of Michigan now for 4 years. I've left them both young, and unbelievable that not once have either of these kids called me, hey, Dad, my car broke down and I don't have any money. Or, hey, Dad, I lost my job and I need money to make a mortgage payment.
Yeah.
If they needed help, I'd help them. But I'll tell you, there's a joy in my life feeling like, wow. I mean, they know I would help them. If they ever really needed help, I would be there.
Yep.
Will always be there to be an ear to listen to. And I found out with my daughter, the best thing I can ever do is just be a good listener and shut up. Just listen, identify, and listen. She's not coming to me to solve problems. That's what I've always wanted to do in my life, is be a problem solver. But if you have a daughter, you learn that they don't want a problem solver; they want a listener.
Yeah, exactly.
And so,
Daughters, wives, all the same.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Well,
Yeah.
my daughter's helped me become a better husband.
Yeah.
All of these things add up. But I used to always kind of worry too, like, oh my gosh, these kids today, what's this generation? What's the future going to look like when these are the people that are running the country? Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? But I've met so many great young kids that just really have great heads on their shoulders, and
That's awesome.
they don't
Yeah,
have
definitely.
the same dating life and stuff like that we had when we were in high school and other stuff like that, but their heads are screwed on well.
Oh, for sure.
And
Yep.
I have total confidence that this generation is a good generation. And all these people that want to poo-poo all the new generations and call them this or call them that. Look, they're young adults. They're
Yep.
growing. They're trying the best they can, and they're watching you.
Yep. All right. I have to take a bathroom break
Yeah,
real
yeah.
quick. Our camera
Sure.
heated up and turned off, and that turned off.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I'll wrap it up.
Sure, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we literally had a camera that would shut off every once in a while.
Yeah.
So we just warrantied it out, got a new camera, and then we bought another camera, and we haven't had a problem all last week, and then for some reason this one keeps turning off.
funny how everybody texts all at one time. All different people, all different friends, different parts of the country. It's like, okay.
It is funny when I get out into something like this. Catching up on all the messages.
Yeah, so you'll give me the little, we'll do the wrap up.
Yeah.
I don't want to leave Doug waiting either, and I really appreciate your time. It's funny how much the time just disappears.
It flies by. I
It
know.
really does.
So, man, Steve, that was really a mic drop moment. That you hit a couple of them. I was going to cut you off on the one you were talking about a little bit ago, and then we had to dive in deeper. But I wanted to revisit back real quick. Because we've talked about this kind of like throughout the giving up those limiting beliefs.
Yes.
And I talked about and shared the story about Christy and her post, and I put this post together based off of her words, based off of what she said, her story and stuff. And so I put this little post together for her because it was like, let's get you kickstarted. Let's get you out there. Like, let's put something out there that's that can like really speak to like having that fear knocking on doors and why you persevere and do it anyways, because it's about making a difference in the lives of your clients. And so I wrote this post for her and I was like, I'm going to make it really easy for you. Just take a picture of yourself and post it with that. And literally, it took her, like I said earlier, a long time to do it. We didn't leave boot camp today until she posted it. It's now, let's see, it's been a couple of hours. She posted it at 11 o'clock. It's 3 o'clock now. This thing has 108 reactions and 29 comments to it. Now, could you imagine for the audience out there?
And 3 shares.
In 3 shares, right? And this is just a few hours into posting that. Now, could you imagine if you're in business or you're in business development and you put a post out there that is a business post and within a few hours you have 108 reactions to it?
Yeah.
What does that do for your business, right? And maybe it does nothing, but what it does is it gives you a spotlight. It's the reason why you have the billboard on the side of the road. It's the reason why you do the advertising and stuff like that. But the really cool thing with social media is it allows you to build that know, like, trust. And you can go out there. And the thing is she's already doing the work. She's in Cirrusnet. She's hitting all the networking meetings. She's building connections the right way. She's connecting and referring people. She's doing the right things. But nobody knows what she does from this end. And so she puts it out on social media and she gets all that traction. And what I'm seeing from my clients and the people I'm working with is when they go out and mix with people, oh, that's what you do. And all of a sudden they're getting those connections and those referrals because it ties back to that reticular activation system that we've been talking about. It isn't obvious for people what you do. It isn't obvious for people that you're looking for new clients.
Right.
You could tell people I'm a photographer, but like that's a whole, what kind of a photographer? Do you do wedding photography? Do you do, because if not, it doesn't make any sense to me until you say, yeah, I do wedding photography. And now you're like, oh, my daughter's getting married.
Yes.
In a few weeks or in a year. Like maybe that's a good fit.
Absolutely.
But it has to be obvious. And so I just wanted to give Christy that shout out because Christy, you went and did it. You put that post out there and look at it. Look at it. You're getting the results I told you to get. So
way to go, Christy. Well done. And one quick thing too. I love bringing you up, especially when I've got a business that I'm meeting with that I know needs to work on the confidence building, the voice, the story. It's so important. And everybody does have a story. And it's just trying to figure out how can you connect what it is you do with really serving people and looking out for them. So for her, every knock on a door is, another hug to mom and dad.
Yep.
Right?
Yep. Her dad opened the Subway up in Brighton.
Oh, wow.
The Subway over by Guido's.
Oh, yeah.
He originally opened that Subway up. I didn't know that until today, but I knew he was a small business owner. But today she shared that he was the Subway guy.
Wow, that's awesome.
It's just really cool. It's a different thing, and when you can connect your passions, your experiences, your stories to what it is that you do, it is a huge difference maker.
Well, and then the other thing too is being somebody that you have a lot of fun with what you do.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
I think that's such a huge thing. Like when people come to Cirrusnet, they know, doesn't matter what's going on, I'm a certain way.
Yep.
And you build loyalty with people that really appreciate that sort of thing. Like they don't have to guess, how's Jason going to be when I see Jason this week? They know how Jason's going to be. That's why people go to Jason.
Yeah. Yep. It's a brand.
Yes.
You're creating a brand out there, whether you realize it or not. And it's the
Totally.
same thing. You go to a certain hotel because you know how the experience is going to be every time.
Yes, exactly.
So,
Jason,
brother.
thank you so much for letting me be on. This is the third time.
Yeah.
And the fun thing is, it hasn't been at the same location at any three.
Let's go. That's
I've
right.
been all three.
All right.
But I got a feeling you're gonna be camped out here for.
I'll
a
be
while.
here, but you know what? Who knows what
You
happens
don't
out
know.
of it?
You could be doing this on an airplane somewhere.
We could be doing it on a plane. So like Mike Noonan signed up. We're gonna when I get
Go
back
Noonan.
from Arkansas. So next week I'm going out and we're gonna do a podcast from his location.
Cool.
So he's got a cool office, a cool setup, and we're like, we'll bring the equipment to you.
Yeah, he's such a fun guy.
He's a fun guy. You talk about having fun.
Oh my goodness.
I'm like,
yes.
dude, your job description you had, and then I can't remember what he did the second week. It was just funny. He's like, he's got this whole like,
He's so witty.
yeah,
He really is. He really is. He was a great addition to Cirrusnet. And he was somebody that was, he had been in a different group that went on to Zoom during the pandemic, and it was like 90% of the people turn their screens off during the meeting. So it's like when a person's talking, all they're doing is looking at a sea of black names, and then Mike visits our Cirrusnet team. And he's like, Steve, that is so much better than I thought it was going to be. When you told me it was online initially, and I could tell,
Yeah.
you and I
Oh,
both
yeah.
watch people like, hey, all of a sudden you turn pale white. What just happened?
yeah,
And he goes, but it's different. But I think the difference is intention. So if you're on an online group, no, there's not that just, hey, I got there 30 minutes at the meeting this time, and there was another person there 30 minutes, and we sat and schmoozed for 30 minutes.
Yep.
Or I stayed after and schmoozed with people for 30 minutes. No, the schmoozing is gone. So what has to replace that is the intention.
yep,
The intention of connecting with people regularly, bringing people into things. But the intention is all it takes. And how many times can you watch a TV show where you see something on a screen and you start identifying with the actors? Right? It's the same thing on Zoom.
yeah,
Have a strong screen presence. People will identify with you.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and we're so lucky to have a guy like Noonan in Cirrusnet or in a space where you can reach him because he's at a
Yes.
different level than what most people are in their businesses. He's had a lot of success. He is the
That's
guy
because he'll do the work that a lot
Absolutely.
of people won't do when they get to a certain level, and then they start failing and they backpedal and they go, what did I used to do? What did I used to do when things were working?
Yep.
Mike still does those things that others would want to run away from. He shows up.
I'm so excited for the breakfast.
Me too.
One more day.
It's going to be awesome.
Super awesome.
All right.
So,
Thank you, Jason.
absolutely.
Appreciate you, brother.
Get up, get out, let your roar be known. Entrepreneur swagger, this is your throne. Afraid to be vulnerable, nah, that's your goal. The real stories where the truth gets sold. No more playing small, no more self-doubt. You're a face-eating legend, let it all come out. Grab your values, your vision, your mission, your pace. You're the game changer now, time to own your space. We're consulting, yeah, they're lighting the spark, turning wannabe dreams into works of art. So step up, show up, let your power be seen. You're the best version now, go live that dream. Roar loud, be proud, it's your time to rise. Your authentic self is your best disguise. Change your mind, change the game, break free of the shell. Cause hell's just seeing who you could have been. Oh well. Get up, get out, let your roar be known. Entrepreneur swagger, this is your throne. Afraid to be vulnerable, nah, that's your goal. The real stories where the truth gets sold. No more playing small, no more self-doubt. You're a face-eating legend, let it all come out. Grab your values, your vision, your mission, your pace. You're the game changer now, time to own your space. Yeah, Raw Consulting, yeah, they're lighting the spark, turning wannabe dreams into works of art. So step up, show up, let your power be seen. You're the best version now, go live that dream.